This show is sponsored by PowerfulWomenUSA.com. Hey everybody, I'm Jill Conway, and this is Secrets of Powerful Women, a show dedicated to celebrating and supporting strong and successful women and sharing their stories. I'm hoping you will be inspired to pursue your own dreams, reclaim your voice, and discover your strengths. So my guest today is Christina Woods. She is a high-performance coach and the founder of Wise Woods Hypnotherapy. She is an internationally recognized hypnotherapist and author. So Christina, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
And you come from, you're California, so there is it's a little bit earlier in the day for you, but I thank you for coming on at this time, and I'm so excited to talk to you. So tell the audience exactly what a hypnotherapist does.
We don't do what's on Netflix, that's for sure.
Right.
So I work with clients in working with them on all the beliefs that actually basically lead all the decisions we make in our lives in our subconscious mind. We don't go around the world thinking that, logic doesn't dictate our lives, because that's what we think happens. But I work with people in helping them shed all the beliefs that aren't even true about ourselves. And it's not anything I thought I'd ever do. I had a 30-year corporate life before this. But yeah, I work with people to help them shed the reasons they sabotage, the reasons they don't feel confident, the reasons they say, why do I always do that or say that, or why can't I stop that or go for the thing that I want to do? Because we have beliefs in a part of our mind that actually is the lens in which we feel everything about ourselves and see the world and see ourselves. That is 95% of how we make decisions. Yet we think the 5%, the 10%, the logical part is what dictates everything. So that's why we get so frustrated with ourselves. But when you really want to make deep changes, it's through that subconscious. And that's how you access it. There's EMDR, there's other methods. That's why deep meditation is so powerful, but you get to access it in hypnosis too.
So take me to a day, right? So I walk into your, we've made an appointment. I walk in and you work then to put me under hypnosis
Yep.
Right? Is that how it works? So, so it's so interesting because I have gone to a hypnotherapist before, but I felt like I wasn't really going under. I don't know. It was many years ago when I was just like, kind of like, does this work?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure a lot of people feel, right? So
Sure.
I felt like I was almost fighting it and resisting it. So is that what usually happens, or are people kind of like, oh no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to relax and
Yeah, I would say most people say that I don't think this worked, because the thing is, we don't go into a strange, they call it a trance actually, but it isn't a feeling of, you think you're going to feel like a mummy, or what is it really going to feel like? But we actually go into, it's these, alpha, theta, beta wave, these different brain waves actually in and out all day. I mean, we've all maybe taken the train or driven home and you don't remember, or you're doing the dishes, someone's speaking to you and you're in la la land. You don't even know what they just said. You're like, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that? I have no idea what you just said. So we have the ability to stay conscious in a conversation, or you're watching TV and you're falling asleep and you sort of hear the words, but you're sort of falling asleep too. So we have the ability to go in, quote unquote, a hypnotic state, those brain waves. It's natural. So when you go into my office, or most of my business is virtually, when I take you there, it feels like a calm meditation. And we're just quieting the analytical mind, the conscious mind, but you're still hearing the gardener, the dog bark, maybe the UPS guy ring the doorbell. You're still hearing things. You're still aware. And we actually are talking the whole time, which I think really surprises people. And we're exploring. Well, we're actually going to the very root cause of the thing you want to work on. So we're quieting the things that say, no, that's not it. I actually, I know I'm confident, and I just eat cookies at night because I'm lazy and I have no self-will, or, whatever the thing is that we tell ourselves. I'm just fat or whatever. So we quiet all that stuff and we say, hey, what's the very root cause or reason for this? When did this first start? When did this belief first start? What's the root cause? and we go back to moments because your mind is brilliant. And I believe hypnosis is really just a window into our soul to take us on a journey to find out when did this stuff first start? And I promise you, it's not when you think. It's just these little seeds that are planted along the way. And it takes you back to moments, and you are landing and you're saying, I don't know why, but I'm in third grade and the teacher's asking me a question. Or I'm eating cereal with my sister watching cartoons. And she says this comment. Or yesterday I did a session with someone. She says, I'm walking on the school bus and I don't think the kids are nice and I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't know what that means. I don't think this is working, but it means a lot. It's always what is the meaning that we attach? How are we feeling? Because our subconscious mind is our feeling mind. Our conscious mind is our thinking, logical mind, and we need it. But 95% is our feeling mind. That's pretty powerful. That's our body. The body keeps a score. I think we've heard of all heard of that book. If you haven't, it's amazing. But that's how
The Body Keeps a Score. That's the book.
Yeah, the body keeps a score. It's when they
Right.
first realized that PTSD with soldiers was real because they hear a backfire on a car and they duck and they have a reaction. It's like, what is that? It's the memory in the body of something that happened years ago that they're not there. They're not in the field. They're not in that situation anymore, but the body remembers. It's that feeling, that memory. It's the same thing. When you didn't feel enough, when you felt like, why did my parents pick me up from soccer late? They picked my brother up on time. Well, that's because they're racing back from work because they love you so much they got off early. But the meaning we attached was they love them more than me. What's the meaning we attached? That's all that matters. It's never the thing that happened. So I think that's another thing in our subconscious with hypnosis is, we often think, well, nothing bad happened to me. Get over it. I had that thing happen, or my parents got divorced, or sure, I got laid off, or I didn't have it easy growing up, or we didn't have money, but I didn't have it as bad as someone else. That doesn't have to happen. Sure, you may have had trauma, and I think that's easier for us to logically make sense of maybe why we might have a hard time or a struggle in life. But if we didn't, we're pretty hard on ourselves. But it's only the meaning we attached. And once we have that, then your whole world can open up and say, oh, that made sense at that age. And that's what hypnosis does. It allows you to understand, because your subconscious mind is a vault. It's like a little sponge, and it doesn't care if it's right or wrong or good or bad. It only cares what is happening to help you survive. So that's really, and it doesn't know how old you are, by the way. So, we're 50 now, we're the CEO, we're pretty fancy in our jobs, and we're wondering why we choke in a meeting. Well, your subconscious mind thinks you're still 6 walking on the bus and don't want to talk to anyone or can't talk to anyone.
Wow.
And you're thinking,
that's so
no,
interesting.
I own this business. I'm the boss. And so anger comes out, or, the ego or something. Everyone's like, what's up with that? What's his problem? And you're going, why was I such a jerk today? Because there's a part of you that still felt like the person that didn't fit in. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. I do fit in. I'm the one that, whatever it might be in our lives. So we go back and we say, well, that was relevant then, but let's upgrade that belief and that feeling. And that's where we get to the root. And so there's that spiritual component too we can get into, but it's really, really powerful.
Do you think people, I mean, like you said, they doubt it? First of all, I think most people think hypnotherapy is woo-woo, right?
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
They think it's totally out there. And yet when you look into neuroscience and things like that, and it's fascinating. I just love, I was so deep into, I was listening. I'll say this to you because I know, and everyone, I guess, listening. I was listening to frequencies. So like different theta, frequencies and things that would like cause me different like reactions, or I guess
I
go
love it.
deeper. And I was saying that to someone, and I normally don't really tell people like what I'm reading, what I'm doing, and they were like, "Why on earth would you be doing that?" And I said, "You should try it." You should try it because it's very interesting, right? You start to kind of think about why you do what you do, why you act the way you act,
I spend a lot of time putting the hypnosis audios to specific music to each client, what megahertz, what theta music. If their nervous system is a certain way, I know I need to adjust it because I do want it to go deeper. Like you said, it has a huge impact. Theta, alpha, music, and it does go and create a deeper experience. I mean, this is already scientifically proven. It's not woo at all.
Right. Yeah. And yet it's not getting out there. The stigma attached to it. So how did you get involved in this, Christina? Because you didn't go to school and said, I want to be a hypnotherapist. So how did this happen?
It happened through my own journey and, cards collapsing basically. So yeah, I was in corporate for 30 years and really, my journey was a journey like a lot of women, be a perfectionist, check all the boxes, very successful. And that came from a childhood of the oldest of four, single mom. I did have actually had childhood trauma and I came out of that saying, well, if I'm the good girl and I can just sort of erase all of that, and this is how you do well in life. You get good grades, you do well, you perform. I got married, I had 2 kids, I did very well, climbed the ladder, and was a great people pleaser and had the money, flying around the country, doing all the things, and had a lot of immune diseases start happening. Anxiety came into my life, which was, I remember having a panic attack and having to ask the babysitter to take me to the hospital because I didn't know what was wrong. So like slowly things started happening, which I thought this happens to other people. I'm kind of a badass. What's happening? I can handle everything. I can take my kids to soccer and go to a meeting and do all the things. And it just got to a point where my marriage had collapsed, my health. My oldest son was about to go to college. I was about to turn 50, which, we all know is a time when you really start to think about, is this really what I want to do forever? And my company, I think, had laid off thousands and thousands of people. I got a little severance and I was out picking weeds one day and heard a voice that said, when are you going to stop making everybody else happy and do what makes you happy? And I mean, it was a slap in the face. It was what was that? And
Right.
and so I went on a therapy journey, one that scared the pants off of me. And I had to face, like, why do I do all these things? I didn't want to face any of them. I certainly didn't want to get divorced after 25 years. I didn't want to tear apart my family and my children. And I didn't know how to do anything else in my career. So did a lot of soul searching, went on a lot of retreats, Costa Rica, spiritual retreats, meditated, therapy, cried a lot, and found hypnotherapy. And I remember doing a meditation, a hypnotherapy meditation. I had got terrible vertigo, and I know spiritually it was like my life was very out of balance. This is what I believe. And I saw probably 20 doctors, neurologists, you name it. I drove up and down the state, seen the best of the best. Nothing, no one could find out anything wrong with me. And I did a hypnosis meditation and I felt
yourself
better.
or like
No,
a
I
self-hypnosis?
listened to it. Yeah, I found one by Marissa Peer, who I studied with later and met in person many times and trained with her. And I felt better. I was like, what is this? And I remember telling a doctor and he's like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, well, but I feel better.
Isn't that the point? Right?
Yeah,
I mean, right?
I'm like, but I feel better. He's like, well, that's ridiculous. We need to do more scans on your brain.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm like,
Just take a
okay.
prescription. Yeah.
Yeah,
Here, take this.
exactly.
Yeah.
I had all these pills and nothing was working. So then I did hypnotherapy and I had wrote in a journal, hypnotherapy and Marissa Peer is going to change my life, and went about my merry way. And about a year or two later, I opened the journal, saw it written, and I signed up that day.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I knew I wanted to leave corporate at that time. I knew I'd been a leader and a manager, and I wanted to do something with that. But at that time, I now was single, still had a mortgage and kids in college. What are you going to do? And I knew I could take all these skills, but how, when? And I knew, my calling was I would find a way. I did trust I would find a way. And this hypnotherapy thing was really wild for me to say, what? You're going to do this? And I thought, well, I'm going to learn it and see where it takes me. And it has been incredible. And from there, I've learned many, many new different modalities. And it's just really changed my life and others. And that's why I do it.
Well, what industry were you in before all this?
I was in higher education, and I was in the admissions and marketing aspect of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so they don't think they don't think this is
to tell
legit.
Higher education you're going to leave and do hypnotherapy and Reiki.
Like, she needs counseling. Oh yeah, right.
My coworkers were like, okay.
Oh gosh, yeah. So how does Reiki play a role in all that? Because I think I told you on the phone I'm Reiki, first Reiki 1 graduate. I haven't gone on, but you're a Reiki master.
Yeah, keep doing it. It'll really change you.
Tell everyone what that is. It's all energy work, which we're energy. I mean, this is what we are. It encompasses every cell of our body.
Yeah, every cell of our body, everything is energy, and Reiki is channeling, source energy, Reiki energy, whatever we want to call it. And what's beautiful about Reiki is, as you learn it and attune to that energy, we don't really have to guess where it needs to go, which I love. It actually will go where the client needs it. And so I actually started learning Reiki because when I started doing hypnotherapy, because energy is so powerful and I'm working with clients with trauma and pain, I actually started getting nauseous and sick. And I was sort of a guppy at this, and I wasn't really having energetic boundaries. And I seriously thought, oh my goodness, I've left corporate and now I'm getting nauseous. What am I going to do? I just left my job, and I need to understand. And someone said, you need to learn how to work with energy and take Reiki. So that was why I learned it, for me, to learn how to work with energy, respect energy, the power of energy. And why it's so powerful is that energy actually is before beliefs. We feel emotions before we create the belief. And we think it's logic and then beliefs, but it's really emotions. Energy is emotions. Energy is before everything. Energy, emotions, beliefs, then our actions and our behavior. So how I incorporate it is I can read energy, I can feel it. The more you read and are around energy, you're just attuned and can feel it. And clearing energy, where's energy blocked? We are energetic beings as well as physical beings in my feeling and philosophy. So just if we have a pain, it tends to get stuck, just like anything, a pipe, anything in our physical world is a mirror in our body. And if we have, we're stuck in our power, then we go to that energy center in our body, and it needs just help to flow. And that's what Reiki does, is it just helps release it, stretch it. Energy doesn't go away. So sometimes it just needs to be stretched and moved. And I need the help too, just like everybody else. So it's just helping people move the energy and actually teaching them, you can do this yourself. So helping people, breathe, get quiet, tune in, move your energy. You can move it out. Because I wake up sometimes and feel, why do I feel so dense and heavy? I need to go outside. I need to ground. When you get anxious, okay, let's ground. That's your energy that needs the earth to just, feel solid, feel safe, feel grounded. Or we feel too dense. All right, let's jump up and down, move your energy around, right? Move it. We know this intuitively. We might call it something else, but that's all our energy.
Right. Well, it's so funny because, some people, if they're listening, they were like, oh, I don't believe in that. But I ask you to do this. Be at a party, right? And someone walks into the room and you're all having a good time. And then they bring in with them some negative energy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can feel that. You can feel that all in a second. The
Totally.
mood in the room goes whoop. So for the people who don't like, oh, I don't believe that. Yeah, try that.
You feel a
Everyone
vibe.
knows. Yeah, everyone knows those people who walk in. You're like, oh boy, here we go, right? Like, so that's what I love. It's so real, and I think we need to talk about this too. I mean, energy, it never dies; it lives on. I mean, it is basic science, and yet we haven't fully embraced it. I think the way that we should.
Yeah.
But how does this help people? So like that and hypnotherapy, I know you mentioned it helps release them of their, blocks or their traumas, but does it take a long time to do that?
No. And I like to add this is I work with high performing individuals. I work with doctors. I work with lawyers. I work with
Right.
CEOs, executives. And I just share that because I think there's this idea I work with healers and yes,
Right.
I do. But I'm not only working with people in the woo-woo world. I'm
Right.
working with people that you would never imagine think they would go and do this. These are normal, everyday people we're seeing in a suit, going to executive meetings that
Right.
know the power and yes, I'll get to how fast it is because there's so many ways now and so much science behind. There's other things other than talk therapy, and I do talk therapy too, and it has a value. But there's other things that we can do that help you get to your subconscious and move your energy even faster. Um, and yes, it is fast because when you get to your subconscious mind, which is this, we right now talking cannot access our subconscious mind. The brain waves don't access that part. And when you do access that part, that is where permanent change is made. You cannot make permanent change at alpha brain waves when we're talking like this. So when we get frustrated with ourselves, I'm following this diet, I'm reading affirmations, I'm talking to myself very nicely in the mirror every day, whatever we're doing, permanent change is only made at the subconscious level in these brain waves because that's like a sponge. It takes everything in like a sponge. So we learn by repetition, we learn by powerful words and imagery, but we also learn and it sticks in the subconscious mind. So access the subconscious mind. And when you do, but you got to get to the root of why it's there in the first place, and we just reverse it. So in hypnosis, I think I mentioned in audio, I just create a custom audio for people and you listen to it every day. It's about 15 minutes for about 21 days to 30 days. You can even fall asleep because your brain is still active when you're sleeping. And it's rewiring a belief. So, it could be a belief about your self-esteem or confidence or weight loss or a habit you want to break, or I want to walk into a room and feel incredible. I want to talk to my kids nicer, whatever it might be. I want to make more money. I want to find love. I mean, we all have these things in our life, and we'll get to the root of what's blocking that because we have a funny way of sabotaging the thing we want. And it's really just because that part of us is trying to keep us safe. It's not because it wants to ruin our life. It thinks it's doing us a favor. And once we find out, hey, I'm not 10 anymore. You don't need to do me that favor. I'm actually old enough now. I actually want that thing in my life. Then we rewire it in. And it's usually I see people for maybe 2-3 sessions, sometimes one session.
Wow. Does the answer ever surprise somebody when they do
Always.
it? I would think, right? Because you're like, I didn't know that affected me. I mean, then they see it, right? But when they're first, under, because you said you can remember the conversation when you kind of wake up, or
Yeah.
yeah.
I think what happens is, even a session I had yesterday, I think we move on in life and therefore we assume we've matured, we've outgrown
get
that
over it,
situation,
right?
we get over it.
Yeah.
And we're not understanding that that part of us is still literally stuck in that age or that belief. It literally is stuck in that age or belief. And I mean, yesterday, I will quote a client. I had no idea that was still there. I had no idea that was so powerful.
Wow.
She's raised her children. Her children are in their mid-20s now. Very successful career, in her 50s. I had zero idea that was still alive in me, but I can see it now. So it's an awareness. It's like when you realize Santa Claus isn't real. You don't need to go back to every time you ever thought he was real. It's a paradigm shift. Wow. Now I know. I can change it. I know I see my life differently. And that's
I was going to
powerful.
say.
That's a powerful paradigm shift. But we don't know what we don't know. It's a blind spot we all have.
Ooh, I was going to ask you that. So once they become aware of the issue, and then they can take the time to really change that, or consciously make an effort to not see a similar situation like that, I guess, right? Like when they're in their everyday life, or if they can get confronted with that issue again, they're like, I'm going to react differently or something. I don't.
Yeah. So the new belief, it does have to become familiar. So it's not that our belief system is instant, because that belief has actually kept us safe and alive. So to say, well, now I'm going to believe,
Right.
Being really confident and outspoken is my new thing. Our body is like, no, I don't think so. Because when you did that in school, everybody laughed because you read the word wrong. And I don't ever want you to do that again. So I've created a little bit of anxiety in your life to keep you safe. But now you're like, well, now I know why. And so you want it to work instant. So the audio recording, and I do meet with clients regularly while they're listening to it, and we're doing exercises, we're doing things to make it more familiar. So it's just making it more familiar, but there can be resistance. But what happens is it just becomes who you are. So some clients will say, I don't know why. It's like you've cleaned the windshield on my car. I'm driving the same car, but I can see better. Sometimes it's instant, but a lot of times people will just say, it's just easier now. I just feel like a new person. And that's pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is so good. Well, I
It's
want to go to
powerful.
commercial break. Because I don't want to keep you here forever. Although I think I could talk to you for hours, Christina. I did want to talk about, because you talk about burnout, because your client base is mostly high achieving people. So, and you help them kind of prevent burnout, or you can help people kind of prevent burnout. So, how do you do that?
Well, I think we look at, where are we not honoring the fact that we're not robots, and we need to look at where in our lives have we not even carved out a little bit, and why do we not believe that we need a little bit of time for ourselves? So, first of all, in life, if we're not excited about our future, if we don't have a vision about our future, it's human nature to not be excited, to have passion. And so many times the clients that I work with, we're just doing it because we've always done it.
Yeah.
And we really do have to, it doesn't even matter if it's building a garden in your backyard, if it's reading to children at the library every other week for an hour, it doesn't matter, but you really do need something that's fulfilling in your soul. It doesn't have to be your job necessarily, but there has to be something you look forward to. And so a passion, what lights you up is critical. And a lot of people say, I don't even know if I have a hobby I like. So let's find that. And where have you told yourself you're not worthy of carving out time, or you think literally going to the gym is your personal time? We need quiet time. We need time to just be. And so often the burnout clients, they don't have any quiet time. They don't have time where they just walk without a podcast, without a book, without a seminar they're listening to, without taking notes, without doing. They have to just be. Journaling is really powerful. just taking a bath and not, putting a little timer on it, but actually just being. So putting a routine together to just be and making that a habit. I mean, I feel like that's probably the hardest thing I'll make clients that are burned out do. They'll say, please, you just ask me to do anything other than that, please.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, because it's so funny because I hear so many people say, I can't sit still.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't calm down. I can't take a break. I got to keep going. I kind of keep doing it. I'm like, well, you're the person that really needs it.
Yeah. They'll say, ask me to do anything other than that, please.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love that. So, right. Cause I see so many people. I always go to the boardwalk and things like that. And I'm, on the treadmill, whatever, but right. You always have something in the background, or you have the headphones in, AirPods or whatever. And instead of doing that, just be alone with you. Right.
Yeah.
In your thoughts.
Exercise is great and all those things are wonderful for us, but do you do anything that you just love to do? And I think the piece is, are you feeling worthy to do that? And if not, why? Let's get to that root. Because, most of the time I hear, I don't have time for that. My life is too crazy. My schedule's too crazy. I have to eat in the car. I have to do these things. So I usually see a lot of overwhelm and chaos, and I just don't have time. Then I want to get to the root of that, because burnout is usually and I say trauma response, again, it's the meaning we attach to that. It's like, let's slow down and figure out what are we hiding from and not wanting to sit still with your feelings. There's a feeling in there you don't want to feel.
So do we blame our parents for this, Christina? You know how, if a child sitting still is up to, or they like to see their kids always doing something, like don't be sitting there, like doing nothing, like get up and do something.
Well, sometimes we do, but I also think that we're afraid to feel our feelings. And honestly, when we sit with our feelings, it's usually not that bad. And we move through our feelings pretty quickly. But we all have an inner child. And I know that sounds so hokey and silly, but to be really honest, every single one of us has an inner child that needs a little visit once in a while. And that, if that's all anybody gets out of this podcast or message from me, is visit your inner child once in a while and say, hey, how you doing? What do you need? Can I just sit with you and visit with you? Because everyone has an inner child that needs a little like, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? Let me say hello. And I promise you, they want to say, will you just sit with me? Do you want to like hang out and play? Do you want to just like, how you doing? Because we're just so hustle bustle. Think about that. Yeah. If a little kid walked in your house, would you just say, I'm too busy to talk to you? No, you wouldn't probably.
That's so interesting, right? I think we forget about that side as an adult. We do.
We do.
Like how many people, right? How many people say, I'm just going to have some fun. I'm just going to go laugh and be silly, right? Without alcohol.
I got to go do the Instacart order. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love this. Oh, there's so much to talk about. We're going to take a quick pause here. We'll be back with Christina Woods after the commercial break. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. I'm Jill Conway. If you love what you're listening to, please like and subscribe to my channel on whatever podcast platform you listen to and on YouTube, so I can keep bringing you these amazing women and sharing their stories. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you love it as much as I do. Hey. All right, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Christina Woods is with me. She's a high-performance coach and the founder of Wise Woods Hypnotherapy. Christina, I loved our conversation, and here we go. We're gonna go all in now. So, what do you mean when you say you have to set boundaries for success? What do you mean by that?
I mean, we have to decide what we're available for and what's important to us. And, that seems, okay, what does that mean? But when we decide and we know what we're available for, it makes it very easy. So for example, are we available for someone or any situation that, we just spoke of time for ourselves? when we're in burnout. So are we available for anyone that takes that time away from us? So do we decide, I'm not available for that. That's precious time for myself. So that's a boundary. Gosh, if I say yes to that party or that person, I love that person. I want to go to that, but I'm not available for that because this is sacred to me. This time is sacred to me. So we have to decide, what are we available for? I think it's easy when someone is rude, or it's I don't like that person, or I don't want to do that.
Right.
That's a boundary, right? Or we think, I'm just going to say no to the things I don't like. That's easy. But when it's people that we love, or situations that I do want to go to that birthday party or that baby shower or the thing at work, the project that would be good. We have to kind of think about, what are we available for and what's not available, in my life.
Yeah.
What do I want? What are my priorities? And that also then goes back to, what do I feel is available to me? Is love available to me? Am I worthy? Am I enough? Do I feel all these things? And you'll see that you allow more things in if your cup isn't full in those areas. So if I'm struggling with worth, or I'm not enough, I'm going to let more of that other stuff in, because that sort of fills my cup up. I feel I'm more available for these things because I'm seeking that outside validation of worthiness, or am I enough? Sort of makes it feel, I'm seeking those outside things to make myself feel better. But the more you fill your own cup up, boundaries just become a lot easier. I really struggled with boundaries most of my life. And the more I did this work, it just became so easy after a while, to say, I'm just not available for that because I need rest today, or
Wow. Yeah.
I want to focus on this, or I want to spend time with this. I actually don't want to do anything. That's okay too. And you don't need to over explain. I think it's harder when it comes to work to know, okay, I might come across as this or that, but think about someone in our work environment who literally says, I've got a lot on my plate and I want to do a really good job in these areas. I don't feel that, if I made myself available to that, I don't think I'd be as, good on that project, or do a good job, or be a good service to the company if I said yes to that. Don't we respect that? You gotta be
Yeah.
smart in your business and
Right.
navigate your culture. But if we're always saying yes, we also know that person, right?
Yeah. A lot of us, that's a people pleaser, right? They don't want to
Sure.
disappoint anybody and they just keep saying yes. And it's,
And
yeah,
we know they're
that's,
stretched too thin.
yeah. But
Yeah, we know
why?
they're stretched too thin.
That's the question. Is it like you said, is it that they just don't feel value for their own time? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't,
I have a very close family member that is a big people pleaser, who, is the overgiver of the gifts, overgiver of the food, overgiver of it's like, okay, it's always the outside, let me
yeah.
show you, let me do, who can't accept the compliments, right?
Right.
If you say, here's a gift, no, 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 no. And you can see such a lack of self validation or appreciation for their own value and love, that if I overdo all these things, that makes her feel good. And we all know that never works. It never feels good. It's never enough. It's never enough. So I think the answer is, the I'm not enough epidemic is just so big in, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, where you are, how much money you have. I'm not enough, weight, rich, looks, doesn't
Right.
matter, self-esteem. And we are all born enough. I don't know anyone that would look at a baby and say, oop, you're not enough. We are born enough.
Yeah.
It's just throughout our life and our culture, and especially with social media, we start to give things away and say, my power, my value, my love And then we also are taught and we learn, and this is a big one, is, oh, that's not available to me. Oh, people in my family, we have love, but we don't have money. Or we have money, but love's not my thing. That's a learned belief. It's not real. It's not true, but we learn it. Or I have a lot of money, but weight, yeah, no, that's not my thing. I struggle with weight. Everyone in my family struggles with weight. And
we
yes,
hear
there
that
are
the generational
the
things, the generation.
generational stuff.
It's all. Well, that's how I must. Everyone in my family died of cancer, so I guess I'm gonna die
Yes,
of
even the
cancer.
people pleasing thing. I was driving with someone the other day, and she said all the women in my family are people pleasers. Like it's a thing. It's a gene. And this is
A lot of
a
people.
belief. You learn it, yes, but that doesn't mean it's the truth. And so I actually do a lot of ancestral belief clearing because one, I had to do this. I was raised in an Italian family of women where, sacrifice was this badge. I was the oldest girl of 4, and my mother was the oldest girl of 7. And this belief that doesn't matter how tired you are, you serve your family, you host the big holidays, and you suck it up, and you do this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And to some degree, I still do that. But it's like, well, wait, I'm tired, and there are other members that might want to host too, or might want to do some things too, and that doesn't make me more lovable. It actually makes me more tired and cranky and resentful. And now I'm getting resentful, and this can't be good for anyone. So hold on here. Is this a good pattern? Or let's look at this. So, yeah.
Oh, I think you touched on something very important, Christina, because I think as women, we do that a lot. We keep giving and giving and giving, even though we get angry and resentful that we keep doing it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like, how do you stop, right? Because we're taught to, as moms, as daughters, as sisters, as friends, we gotta just spouses, you gotta keep giving everything away. You're not taking any time for ourselves.
Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
we feel responsible for everybody's well-being and emotions, to fix their emotions, process their emotions. And what a disservice. I have 2 adult children now, and I'm just now realizing as they're gone, they've flied the coop here, the nest, and I can see where I sometimes still try. As a mother, you do this, but it's like there were so many opportunities where it's such a disservice when we're trying to fix everything for them. We're not talking about survival things and when they're
Right.
little, but yeah, when we're trying to carry the weight, not just the household chores, but the weight of their pain, their emotions. I think when kids are just, whether you have kids or not, but just your friends and other people, you can be supportive without having to process their pain and their emotions and weight. You can be supportive, you can be there for them, you can listen and still hold space for someone.
Ooh.
It's
Without
not
taking a
ours. Yeah. It's not
Go ahead,
ours.
continue.
It's such a gift to hold space and allow someone to feel their own pain and even be uncomfortable and show them it's okay to be in pain. You're going to be okay, and hold their grief. I'm living with someone now who is in a process of grief. He lost his mother recently, and the healer in me wants to give him all the tools and all the resources and come in here and let me do some Reiki on you every other day and all the things. But, it's just holding space for months, watching him in grief and just knowing it's not my grief. It's not my way I will grieve. And just holding space and listening and observing, and also knowing when, you know what, I'm going to go upstairs and let you, come down
You.
here, because
Yeah.
it shows up in anger, right? It shows up in other
Yeah.
ways. It's not mine. It's not mine. And that's a boundary. That's a boundary of love and respect. It's not me pushing away. It's actually saying I'm not available. I'm not available to hold someone else's resentment, anger, processing something he's processing, his own pain and process. It's beautiful to process that. It's his journey with his grief. It's not mine. Why would I take that? Why would I try to fix that? I wouldn't do it right anyway. It's between him and spirit, God, whatever. It's not mine. It's not mine
But
with my children either. They have their own journey.
that's okay. So then how do you say in a situation like that, how would you say, like, I don't want to look, unempathetic, or you don't want to be, but you also, you want to be understanding, and allow them to go through what they're going through, but at the same point you don't want it to affect you in that way where you're like, they're miserable and sad, so I'm going to be miserable and sad because I can't be happy because that might make them mad or
Mhm.
something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it can look like, I see you're in so much pain right now, and I love you so much. I'm going to give you a little bit of space, and I'm going to be here. I'm going to go upstairs and watch a movie, but I'm here and I'll check on you in a moment,
Okay.
and let you process that,
Yeah.
and check on them. So, or whatever the relationship is,
Yeah.
gosh, I can really hear, if you want to talk about it, I'm here. It feels like it's really intense for you right now, and I hear that you're going through a lot of pain. I'm always here to listen. It sounds like it
Mm.
might be a lot for you right now. If you want to, talk about this later, I'm going to let that settle with you. I see that you're in pain. I'll
Mm.
be back here, and I'm not going anywhere.
That's so hard to say, like, because I hear so many people say, I'm so sad that that happened for someone, to someone. And we've all been there,
Yes.
right? We hear a
Yeah.
horrible thing and we're like, that's so awful. I feel so terrible for them. But what's interesting is that, right, you can't, while you might feel that way, it's not your pain to take on. And that might
Yeah.
sound selfish, and I don't want it to. I'm so maybe
Yeah,
you
it's
can
a hard lesson
explain
to
it better.
learn. You
Yeah.
can't take someone's pain away. It's just it is a big, big lesson, and it's not one I learned overnight, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, I in my, growing up, and I think a lot of people, especially if you're empathic, you learned to navigate other people's emotions, and a
Mm.
lot of us do. We learn to navigate other people's emotions and process them and fix them, and we survive that way. So
Mhm.
to not, it just feels complete opposite of how we've survived.
Right.
So to not fix something, just feels
Mm.
like I'm mean. I'm not nice. I
Right.
should be fixing this. So, but you can't. You can't fix and take away someone. And I think it's really a respect for um, life and their journey. And if you think about it, is someone going to fix your pain? And probably you want support. You want someone to be there for you, but can they truly take away something from you? You have to process it. And I think we live in a culture where we want the quick fix, we want it. But I promise you, it comes out 5, 10 years, 20, 30, 40. It comes out later. It's not going anywhere. And the sooner we just allow ourselves to process it, it actually moves through us quite quickly. But we are so afraid of our pain. We're afraid of our anger. We're afraid it's going to look so ugly. And what will we say or do? And that's a lot of the work I do is the thing people will say, but if I say the things I want to say to my mother or father or brother or that person, I don't know, I'll lose it. Okay. Well, lose it right now because it's in you and it's showing
Mm.
up in your lack of ability to generate the passion in your life, the relationship with your kids, whatever. It's showing up in other ways. It's stopping you from living your passion, stopping you from respecting your body. It's your health. They say a tear that won't shed will find another organ to weep. It's showing up.
Ooh.
So let's do this. Let's do this.
Wow. Oh, that's good. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, I cannot believe. I mean, we're like at 50 minutes, and I feel like we should do 2 shows. We should break this up into 2 shows. You also talk about, I have so many notes on you, Christina. You also talk about overcoming imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome for people that don't know? Because we hear it. I feel like we hear it all the time.
It's, I feel like I keep saying I'm not enough and worthy, but, when we're struggling to be just our authentic selves and trust our inner wisdom and our inner knowing, and we show up with this outside persona that we need to be something other than our true selves. So we think we need to sound a certain way or be a certain way. And we're comparing ourselves to everybody else that we think is better or smarter or more articulate. And it's probably the number one reason why people reach out to me, male, female. I work primarily with women, but most of the time it's, I don't feel good enough to this or that or whatever, or social media's LinkedIn is crumbling me. Every time I go on there, I feel like a loser. I'm not successful enough. And you look at them and you're like, but you did 2 TED Talks and wrote 5 books and it doesn't matter. So it's again, going back to that core of what took away your power and let's give it back to you. But imagining that where in your life are you giving your power? Where are you outsourcing your power? Just look at where you're outsourcing your power. Because if you think another promotion, you completing that project, getting that raise, getting the boyfriend, the husband, the thing, the car, it's not going to cure imposter syndrome. Getting a speaking coach to do the speaking on stage, it's not going to cure imposter syndrome because it's from within. Trusting your voice and your intuition and your inner knowing, your North Star, this is where it comes from. Those are skills to still get. I'm not saying don't get those things or do those things, but it doesn't mask imposter syndrome because that's an internal energy of I'm enough.
Right. Well, I guess the question is why do we self-sabotage ourselves? It's sometimes all the times. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I mean, you always kind of hear that little voice that says like, no, don't do that today. Or, oh, why would you even want to do something like that?
Yeah, there's just a subconscious part in you that's stronger than the thing you want. So we have 2 parts. We have many parts within us, but the subconscious part is a million times stronger than any other logical conscious part. So, for example, you got a mom part, you got a boss part, you got a friend part, you got all these parts. The subconscious part, that's the strongest part, that has an emotional pull, is the strongest part you'll always go back to. So, you want to, be a really good friend right now and throw a good party, but maybe the strongest part of you says, yeah, but I got to work right now, or I'm not going to have any money and I'll be poor, is going to sabotage and say, and keep you up till 2 a.m. working and then be really tired to give the party. We sabotage because something else has a stronger belief than the thing we want. So I want to diet, I want to lose weight. Okay, I'm going to eat really well.
But that ice cream looks so good at 8 o'clock at night. Yeah.
But if you're beautiful, then you're going to get a lot of attention, and people don't treat you well. And do you really want that attention? Because when you get a lot of attention, then you have to really be out there and be seen and visible and
judged and criticized.
Criticized. I don't think so. So go ahead and eat the cookie. So what's the most powerful belief? And you're going, no, I really do want to be healthier. So we beat ourselves up, but it's just more powerful belief. That's the saboteur.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. I love this. And I want to talk about quick, because we talked about Reiki, but I want to talk about, because I think it's so important, the importance of intuition and that inner voice, and know when to, I don't know, separate the inner voice that has your best intentions to that voice that says, no, you're never going to be good at that. So are they the same thing? Are they coming from the same place? Or
I mean,
what is your opinion?
Your intuition is clear and easy, and anything else is, I think we are more trained right now to just question our intuition, and we have a lot of noise. We have a lot of noise cluttering our intuition. So that's why I really work with clients to get quiet, to listen to that inner voice, because intuition is clear, simple, precise. It's a feeling. We know it. And oftentimes what I love in hypnosis, it will take clients back to moments when their intuition was perfect. And it's really beautiful because the mind wants to show them when their intuition was perfect, to show them they know their intuition. I don't ask for this, it just happens. And we'll say, look, this is showing you your intuition. You can trust your intuition. And they'll say, oh my gosh, I can. I remember that. I remember what it feels like. So I'll practice with clients. Remember, this is a memory of when you had your intuition. We all have it. It's just a noise, because to trust it, we often will tell ourselves logic is, more practical. We'll do this pros and cons list, which to me, just throw that thing away, because your intuition is so beautiful. So intuition is clear. It's simple. Anything more complicated, you're in your brain, you're thinking, yes, you need it. This is not intuition. Your intuition is in your heart, and it's a feeling. It's a knowing. It's it's hard to explain because it feels a little different for everyone, but it's not complicated. It's a guiding light. And you can say, when you walk in somewhere, when you feel it, you like someone, you don't like someone, you feel safe, you don't feel safe. When you've talked yourself out of something, and then later you say, gosh, I knew that. I knew better. But I just did it anyway. And so the more you fill your own cup up, you get more confident to trust your intuition and do it. And you start to just follow that lead. And that's actually what I love more in life. I'll just say, I'm just doing it because this is what I feel, and I don't need to explain it. But yeah, intuition and our knowing is one of our greatest gifts in life. We have the answers inside.
Well, then we touch on the spiritual aspect of this, because this has kind of led you onto your own spiritual journey. Were you always tuned in like that, tuned in and turned on to the spirit that guides us all?
I was as a child, and I turned it off. I do remember as a child some pretty spiritual experiences, but definitely turned it off. And then always, since I was probably 16, 17, very interested in spiritual things, and dabbled in it and read a lot of books. But, my corporate life, that wasn't really aligned. It was like this little side thing that I did, and very, very separate. But always was interested in psychic things and spiritual things and meditation, and, go to a retreat or something. And it wasn't until obviously I heard a voice pulling some weeds, and just decided to really follow that because it was very profound. And I had a few more experiences, and the more I've followed it, I have become even more intuitive. And now in my sessions, I absolutely will. My clairs have opened up. I'll see things, hear things, experience things, feel things. It's not anything I ever imagined would happen. And the more I trust, and I'll say, hey, I'm going to, share these things, take it or leave it. And, and sometimes, and I can tell it's, I'll turn the woo dial up or down. If it's not open, if someone's not open to it, that's perfectly fine. And if they are, great. It's, I don't blast it all over my website or anything, but it's a beautiful thing. And it's fills my heart to be this connected spiritually, and made my life a lot more connected to something meaningful and fascinating.
When we spoke, I told you, I think you told me that story, how you heard this voice. And I have a similar story to that too, because I did hear a voice. And I'd say, you have to be careful of who you tell that to, right? Because they think you're crazy, right? They're like, oh, this one's hearing voices in her head.
Right.
But it's usually, for me, it's when you are very, quiet, or you're tuned in, right? Like, so you heard the voice. So I want to ask you, for people listening, what do you mean a voice? Like, could everyone around you hear it? What kind of voice was it?
Yeah,
was it
that's
like
a
a
good
man's
question.
voice? Was it? Yeah. So what was it?
Yeah. So, when you hear your intuition, this was different. It was actually a male voice, and it was up over to the right of me, and it just sounded different. It didn't sound like the voice in my head, when you're kind of talking to yourself in your head. It sounded loud. It sounded like a male voice, a deep voice, and it sounded different. And I just thought, what was that?
Right. Did you look around? Because I remember it happened. I'm looking around. I'm like, am I not alone?
I did look around. I was like, what was that? And I knew it wasn't my intuition, because it was a different voice.
Yeah.
And it never happened before. And it's only happened twice since, years apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
well, then you question it. And then you question it. Like, did I really hear that?
Yeah.
I think I'm going crazy. Let me, right?
100%.
Like, you're doing weeds. I always do weeds in the morning too, but it's like, maybe I need to go sit down for a minute or something. Like, am I right? Because you try to talk yourself out of it too, because you're like, this is not normal. And it's funny, because I've been down that psychic medium path. I've been going to psychics with friends of family friends for years and years and years, since I was 16. I think I've seen all the most renowned psychic mediums too, and met them. But it is a very fascinating thing, because I know this is a touchy subject with people. They all think, oh, you don't believe that, you're gullible, blah, 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 whatever. But when you get a profound, let's say, reading, or someone tells you something that no one else would ever know, right? Or you hear a voice that's saying something that's so profound, so meaningful, you can't ignore it.
No.
Right?
Exactly.
And why would you, right? I mean, we're all, whatever you want to call it, God, source, spirit, there is a higher power. Right. There's a higher power that is guiding us somehow, And I think we all kind of need to figure that out for ourselves. We kind of figure out, what is our intuition? Are we listening to it? Because that's going to get you down that path where you're maybe it's going to lead you to living with purpose.
Yeah. And it's so comforting in moments of loneliness and despair. And when you're lacking guidance, and you need guidance, and you have questions in life, and what do I do? Where do I go? Help guide me, to feel a connection to something. Every day I'm saying, help guide me. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know the answers. And I think that surrender of, I don't need to know how or when, but I need some guidance and help. We all have problems or questions, or someone we know that's in pain or suffering, or I'm feeling that. And so it is a nice feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love this. Okay. So Christina, if someone wants to work with you, how do they get in touch with you?
So my website is ChristinaLWoods.com. And if you add a /free, I have some free downloads and audios and things like that.
Oh, how wonderful. I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to call you, make an appointment, Christina.
I love it.
I think we need to go deep. We need to go through all because everyone has issues. I mean, anyone who says they don't, they're not being truthful, right? We all have a block somewhere, whether it's relationships, business, whatever, friendships, whatever it might be. Someone's got a block.
Yeah. And even if someone just wants to improve something in their lives,
Right. Oh, I love this. Okay. Christina Woods. Guys, check her out. I mean, she's fantastic. So a big thank you to you, Christina. This is fabulous. I want to have you back already.
Thank you. I love it. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jill.
You're so welcome. I'm Jill Conway. Thank you for listening to the show, celebrating incredible women like Christina. I hope you're inspired to pursue your own goals, believe in yourself, and dream bigger. Your voice matters, and your story can help others. I hope you join me next time. Send this podcast to a friend. Bye, everybody. Bye, Christina.
Bye.